Are you too busy, too stressed out, unhealthy? Then this is the place for you. Welcome to Balanced Living for Busy Professionals, where we help you create wellness and balance with a holistic approach that will work for you, even with the busiest of schedules, so you can live the life you want. And now, here's your host, Diane Randall.
Welcome, JJ. Thanks for being here today. How are you?
I'm great, Diane. Thank you so much for having me.
I am just so grateful that you're here. You know, the holidays are over, and I just want you to help us understand how can many people become more physically fit when they don't have a lot of time.
Well, the first thing that I always recommend that people do is to define what that means for them. So if you are someone who wants to lose 20 or 30 pounds and you only have 5 minutes a day to dedicate to that, you have to really be ready to handle your expectation levels of what you think you can accomplish. Now, is it absolutely possible? Sure, it is. In 5 minutes a day, maybe not. You might be better off trying to take and put all those 5 minutes a day together into 1 or 2 workouts a week. In fact, I've had someone that I've worked with via Skype who over the course of 2 years lost 100 pounds only working out 2 days a week. So there are a lot of myths out there about what is necessary to lose weight or to get fit. So just to keep in mind, first start off with what that means for you, because if you have really high expectations of a lot of weight loss, a lot of fat loss, a lot of muscle building and getting leaner and decreasing your body fat and seeing some strength increase and maybe flexibility, maybe sleep, maybe stress. If you have a lot of things that you're expecting, then it's really important to make a plan so that you can keep in line with the reality of your time versus your results. So really being specific, if it's just I want to burn a couple extra calories, or I want to strengthen my legs, or I want to work on crunches and feeling stronger in my core, those are all very doable in 5 or 10 minutes a day, 1 or 2 times a week. So just become clear about what it is that you want. So that way, when you start to see the results, that you know you're getting closer to your goal, and to keep in mind the reality and the exchange of time versus expectation, because I think that's something that really gets a lot of people unhappy and frustrated, is that they have these really, really big goals of, I want to lose, 10, 15, 20 pounds in a month or two, and they're doing very light walking, maybe a yoga class, like a hatha yoga class, and there's been not any real shift in the diet. And then after so many hours a week, they look back and go, well, nothing's really happened. Well, gee, exercise must not work. And the reality of it is the kind of exercise you were doing, the lack of efficiency and specificity for what you wanted, didn't serve you to get to your goals.
So what I hear you saying is basically you should have some kind of plan or goal for yourself, or your expectation for being physically fit, whether it's to lose weight or just, let's say you're in the workplace and you're very sedentary. Sure, you want to lose weight, but what if you just want to keep the body flowing and moving? What do you say to support people in that way in the workplace? Because we're always being told, you're not supposed to sit too long. And if you're sitting, how long do you sit? When do you need to move? I know for me, I wear this active, like a Fitbit watch. And every hour or so, it tells me to move. What would you say as an expert, to give me some idea, or give us some idea of what we should do in the workplace when we're at work? We really don't have time to move. We're busy, and we're not even thinking about it. So what would you tell us?
Well, I definitely love having a device, like you mentioned, and there are several that are out there, and there's several things you can do. Even if you don't have a device, you can put an alarm, a rotating alarm or a repeating alarm on your phone that maybe it vibrates every hour or every 90 minutes, and that's your key to do something. So there are a few things you can do. There's a lot of isometric training. So for instance, if you're sitting at your desk, you could do a couple sets of isometric ab exercises where you actually squeeze your abdominals. Well, I'm doing it right now as I'm talking to you. They're like Kegels, right?
Yeah.
You squeeze your muscles, but you do need to understand how to squeeze your muscles. A lot of people don't even understand how to do abs correctly because they lift and suck in and their rib cage goes up, or when they do a crunch, they use their head. So I have some tutorials and free things I can send people to start to learn how to contract their muscles, but so that way you know the form, because that's very important to get the results that you want. But you could do 3-4 sets of abdominals while you're sitting at your desk. You can still be working. You can be on the phone and talking. You could be doing a isometric squat. So you could get up for 1 minute in between something. So your alarm has gone off on whatever device you're using, and you stand up and you do either a modified squat or lunge or a tree, which is standing and balancing on one side, and then you do the other side. So you could go back and forth and do a couple sets in a couple minutes, and within 5 or 10 minutes have a decent workout. So besides squats and lunges, you can do regular squats and lunges that aren't isometric. I would recommend always that you do an isometric as a warm-up. It's a great way to activate your brain's connection to your muscle to turn it on, especially if you've been sitting for long periods of time. There hasn't been a lot of movement and a lot of messaging, so to speak, neurologically from your brain to your muscles. So doing an isometric would be a great way to reconnect yourself, your brain to your muscles, turn them on, wake them up, get them ready, and then after that, do a few sets of maybe a squat or a lunge. You could even do, if you have a desk, you could do a plank or a push-up on the desk. You could do a modified plank on a desk where you're not actually moving, you're just holding yourself at an angle. This would also work in a cubicle depending on how much space you have behind you. So depending on the kind of work environment you have, you're going to have tools to help you all over the place. If you have stairs, you could do some stairs. Now, I would never recommend running stairs for many, many reasons.
Right.
if you want to build muscle and increase your cardio and burn calories, I would recommend learning how to walk every other stair in a very mindful, deliberate, conscious way, not running, but every other stair up, and then of course every stair on the way back down. And this is going to be like a lunge. You're actually going to get resistance to build your quadricep muscles. You're going to burn calories. You're going to get your heart rate up and your blood's going to be flowing. So it's a really great way to get a little bit of both muscle building and fat burning exercise by doing some stairs.
This is really great because typically I get up from my desk and I just walk. So now you've given me other things I can do to get my muscles going before I even start my walk. And during the day, I don't feel like I've just been sitting, because sometimes I just, we just feel like mush because we've been sitting. But this also gives us a way to support ourselves during the workday. This is beautiful.
Absolutely. You can even just use the step. There's another exercise. I did a whole Movement Monday. My podcast show has video and audio, and my Mondays are called Movement Mondays, and it's where I explain different exercises. And I have an exercise where you're using a step and doing cardio at home. And a lot of those, not all of them, because you can't go up and over a regular set of stairs, but using the stair, there's an exercise called a tap back or a step up, whichever one you want to call it, it's the same thing. You could do that in several sets of that. You could do the first step, you could do the second step, several sets of it, and now you're really, really concentrating on building muscle on one side of your leg, and it's a cardio workout at the same time. So there are multiple ways for you to get anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes worth of good quality cardio on a staircase at work.
Wow, that's great. That is really great. So, JJ, what do you say to people who just can't seem to get motivated to exercise? They say they want to exercise, they know it's good for them, they know they should be doing it, but somehow it just doesn't happen.
So this answer is going to be probably shocking. I'm going to go from the strongest answer to the least or the most expected answer. So the strongest answer is going to be, if it's important for you to start changing your habits, hire somebody. Because I promise you'll do it. When you're paying for it, you'll show up, or else you'll challenge yourself to see how serious you are. Because if you pay for it, you don't show up, you don't do the work, then it's time to have a new goal. It's time to let go of that. It's time to redirect, because basically you're just shooting yourself. You're saying, well, I should. Well, no wonder why you don't want to, because you keep shooting yourself and shaming yourself for not doing it. So if it's really important to you and you keep trying, just pay for it. Like, be done with it, sign up for a class or a coaching program or get a trainer or a coach. That's really how you're going to get results, by being accountable. Now, if that's not something that's in the cards for you right now and you want to know how to change your mindset, the first thing I would recommend is to stop shoulding yourself. If you are going by what you think you quote unquote should do, should is a form of shame. And anytime you shame someone, it never, ever, ever gives them a positive relationship to the thing you're shoulding them to do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to start changing how you feel about exercise, start asking yourself, what do I want? Do I want to be thinner or stronger or faster or healthier or leaner or lighter or whatever? Do I want to add exercise? Do I want to be more mobile? Forget exercise. Exercise sometimes trips people up. Do I want to be able to walk up a set of stairs? Do I want to be able to lift things as I age without it straining me or hurting me? Do I want to be strong and feel able and optimal as I get older? Those are the kinds of questions you want to ask yourself. And then if the answer is yes, you're going to see what comes next is all these different reasons why you shouldn't or you don't want to, or why it's going to be hard or painful. Okay, all those different excuses. So try to quiet that for a second, say thank you for sharing. And the next question you ask yourself is, well, what will I do? If you've answered yes, I want to get stronger, leaner, lighter, whatever, healthier, I want to be optimal as I age, but I really don't want to do what I think I quote unquote should do, what people are going to tell me I should do. What will I do? And then that's where you start. It's called low hanging fruit. If you will go take a walk around the block, then take a walk around the block. And if that's where you start and you do that every day, maybe one time a day, and once you get into the habit of that and you start to like it and you start to feel better about it and look forward to it, and maybe it's a meditative time or you listen to music or even you talk on the phone. I mean, sometimes just getting out of the house or getting out of wherever you are could give you some time to connect with somebody, and you can talk on the phone and walk around the block. So ask yourself, what will I do? And then start there.
So it's the small steps that equal the huge changes, and it's about what kind of quality of life you want. That's what I hear you're saying. But for some people, it's just so tough, and these are many people that I know, especially busy people many busy people who just run through their day and they say, I don't have time. You have given us some great information on how we can meet ourselves right where we are, in the workplace, at home. Just do the things, the small things those are the things that can support us through the day. You say something about the word fitness, that it's not just about the state of one's physical body, but it's also the factors that determine a person's overall well-being. Can you share more about that with us?
Sure. I believe that every part of life is connected. There's nothing that stands alone. And how you do one thing is most often how you do something else. And when people say, I don't have time for X, Y, and Z, it's because it's not a priority and it hasn't been something that you're really interested in making time for. Because if you really want something, you do it. So how do we bridge the gap between not wanting to do the work, but wanting the results? Well, there's that component of exercise and having resistance on a mental level. How we think and what we believe about life, about our body, about our self-worth, about our relationships, about our role, what about our purpose, all the things that make up your beliefs about these different things will shape how you choose your actions. And that's a mental game. Because if I can switch someone, I have so many clients that have gone from hating exercise and not wanting to do it, or not liking cardiovascular exercise, or not liking to cook, and all of a sudden now they're marathoners and they're doing races all the time, and they've made this complete 180, not in a millisecond, but over the course of time, because they started at point A and they addressed the issues, and then once they started to get the results, those issues went away. But it starts with how you think about something and what you believe about something, because that's going to produce how you feel about it and then what you do about it.
Exactly.
So it can't just be, here's a prescription for exercise, go do it. Well, of course, that's like saying, well, here's a prescription for a great meal plan. Does that mean everyone's going to choose it? No. Well, why? Well, because I have thoughts and feelings and beliefs and resistance. And those are mental and spiritual components that have to be addressed for all of it to work and all of it to last.
And I hear what you're saying, because in my world and with my clients, I always address the beliefs and the thoughts before we do anything. And I don't care if it's weight loss, if whatever it is, if it's weight loss, having a better relationship, a better job, the key is to deal with those mindset shifts first.
Yeah, absolutely, because they drive everything.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So you've given us some wonderful information, how we can move in the workplace, and you talk about the invisible components. What are those?
Well, obviously, there's the mental and emotional and spiritual part. Those are all very important, and those are not something we can see in terms of the thoughts in our brain and our mind and the feelings in our heart, body, and soul. We can't visibly see those or contain them or color them. We can just feel them. So that's part of it. The other invisible parts of fitness would be, again, just everything you can't see. You can't see your cardiovascular system. You can't see how much white or red blood cells you have unless you open yourself up. And at that point, why would you want to know? Because you're going to just be containing yourself, right? We can't see your digestion. You can feel it, but you don't know what's going on in there. You can't see inflammation. Well, some people can. I mean, I can give you biomarkers where you could see there's indicators for people that have a severe amount of inflammation or just any inflammation on the inside of the body. So there are so many things, and what's really fascinating is that most of it's invisible. You can't see most of what's required to understand in order to get what you want to see visibly. And so those are all the components. And there's more, but those are just the main ones.
Okay, well, what can you leave us with to help to jumpstart us in the new year with being more fit?
Well, I would recommend that you take a good hard look at your real desires and your real commitment to yourself. And if you are committed to yourself, but you know there's some things that you really need to get support with and really make some shifts in terms of your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual state of mind, then it might be time to work with somebody and make that commitment to yourself, especially if you've never done it before. Accountability, you might only need a little bit. You might only need a month or two of it to get you started. But I'm telling you, if the excuse is I just don't have the time, and that's the excuse you've been using for 10 years, it's probably time to try something different. Now, I have resources. My podcast show is a 6-day-a-week free show. Mondays are called Movement Mondays, and it's all about exercise. Tuesdays is Tasty Tuesdays. It's cooking and nutrition, all very simple recipes that are gluten-free, dairy-free, and Wellness Wednesdays, Thoughtful Thursdays, Freedom Fridays, and Sexy Saturdays are all audio shows. And those are, again, support, information. We talk about sugar and the effect on the body. We talk about what foods are best to burn belly fat. So those are Wellness Wednesdays. Thoughtful Thursdays are the mental piece, the strategy, the therapy piece, so to speak. Freedom Fridays is about spirituality, and Sexy Saturdays is about dating, relationships, marriage, divorce, feminine energy, masculine energy. So that's the show. It's free, and I'd invite anyone to come on over, get some tips on Movement Mondays about things you can do at work, and then reach out for some support and get a buddy, get an accountability buddy. If it's not something you can pay for right now, get a group together, gather friends, family, support, coworkers, so you keep each other accountable.
And we'll have the links to JJ's website and her videos in the show notes from today's podcast. JJ, I just want to thank you for sharing this great information on how we can become more physically fit in our lives. You have certainly given us a lot to think about and a lot of things to help support us, to get us to improve the quality of our lives. So I want to thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
If you have any more questions or comments about today's podcast, please email me or send a voicemail. I really want to hear from you, and I want to know what you thought about today's podcast. And I'd also like to invite you to join me for my free online webinar, Stop Your Sugar Cravings. It's January the 30th at 11 o'clock a.m. Central Time. And check out Diane Randall Consults on the upcoming events page for other webinars and workshops that will start in January 2016. So this podcast is brought to you by the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and I want to thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to Balanced Living for Busy Professionals. This podcast is sponsored by DianeRandallConsults.com. If you like this show, the best way to support it is by leaving 5-star feedback on iTunes. And please, feel free to email your questions, comments, and suggestions to feedback@DianeRandallConsults.com. Until next week, namaste.